What's up there, guys? Mike back here with the Z-Man Show. As we're taking a look, I can't believe we finally made it through. This is the season finale to Season 2 for World Beyond. And for now, as it stands, it sounds like this will be it for World Beyond. But maybe not the end for the characters, as they alluded in Talking Dead. I got to check Chris Hardwick talking a little bit about it with some of the showrunners, writers for that matter. And, let's face it, it wasn't an awful ending. I mean, I was expecting the super happy Scooby Doo ending, which... it was just a snidbit off of that. It was really close. Let's face it, a lot of people got to survive, but some of our party is no longer with each other. As we see, Silas is taken away by the CRM, and he had to end Dennis's life just to get out of trouble. And Dennis, he was cool with it. He knew he wasn't going to make it. So yeah, let's just get into it here. There was a lot of things that happened in the episode, and I think what the episode did really well was a lot of the fight scenes and the choreography, for once, was back on track in this one, especially when we saw that Lieutenant Newton, which is the kind of younger guy in the CRM gear, and he fights with Felix, and that was a pretty cool deal. I couldn't help it though when they were fighting in their scene. And he puts the two blades together because I guess he knew that Newton was a piece of crap, and he was talking about a fair fight, and he's like, he's going to give me a fair fight. But he puts his two blades together, and I was just all of a sudden, the Phantom Menace and Darth Maul just started playing in the background in my head. And I'm like, Jesus, guys, come on, really? But it was a pretty cool deal. I mean, he was owning walkers with that double-bladed staff. It was pretty legit, and he basically caught Newton off guard and sliced him down, and I can probably expect that dude did not see that one coming, and he was probably like, how did I lose that? And just drops dead. So that happened to him. What are some other things we got to see tonight? Elton lost his arm. Now, this is interesting, guys. Do you find it a little weird? I mean, we all know about the amputations and how that usually will stop the virus. However, we learned something else in Fear tonight, where basically Alicia, although she got her arm cut off, if you haven't seen it, sorry, spoilers, you should have watched it, but she had to take her own arm off, but she doesn't believe she got it early enough, and that the infection's still inside of her, and it's slowly killing her. I don't know, guys. I mean, I don't want to get off on a Fear tangent, but that's what happened there. So Alicia lost an arm, and now Elton lost an arm too. And you know what? I want to say I think there was a real missed opportunity here because Elton, I was kind of starting to dig him a little bit, like starting to understand him just a little bit more, and kind of seeing him come into his own. He's starting to fall in love, I think, with Asha, Indira's daughter, and there's just some things going on there with him, and he jumps in front while I guess Hope wasn't paying attention, of course, and he takes the bite, and the zombie gets Elton's arm. And so they end up cutting it off, and he ends up surviving. But, that final speech when he was doing at the end of the episode, and he's talking about how this isn't the end and life, whatever. I mean, how beautiful of a send-off would that have been to Elton's character, to see that full arc, where he had come from and all the things he had gone through. And, yeah, true, I mean, dying, that's not awesome, but... kind of like if you would just, because he saw the world in a different way, in a different light. And I just think that was a very big missed opportunity. I think it could even kind of draw in a few tears from some of us who are on that emotional level. I mean, again, not that I love these characters, but he was one of them that I was like, he's kind of likable in some ways. He was kind of likable. But yeah, I think they should have killed him off, and he could have said, this isn't the end. This isn't the end. This is just the beginning for life, for those, my friends and whatever. And he could have slipped away and so forth. Anyways, I think that could have been really cool. Let me know what you think in the comments. Furthermore, big character death. We lose Huck tonight. And, I guess a lot of us, we probably saw this one coming. It didn't take long to figure out what was probably going to happen in the episode. I don't want to call it foreshadowing per se, but once they figured out that they couldn't remote detonate due to Jadis's move of cutting off all the communications and comms and so forth, and then she sends Dennis and Silas off, it was pretty much evident what was going to go down here. We knew Jadis was on the way with their helicopter, and we knew they were going to get there. But I got to be honest, I didn't think they'd really keep Jadis around. But, I mean, that woman, she is suffering. She's just, insufferable, excuse me. She's still moving. She's still going. And furthermore, she pulls a big coup de grace on Lieutenant Colonel Elizabeth. We'll get to that in just a hot second. But seeing Huck as they fought, and they did fight out pretty well. I mean, it was a decent choreographed scene. I thought it wasn't too bad at all. And to see Jadis kind of slip that knife right under her arm, and I think that's a bad spot to get stabbed. And she knew that was it, and she just collapsed. And so the realism there, I thought that was good. I'm glad they didn't let both of them live. One had to go. I seriously thought that Jadis wouldn't make it out, that the bomb would go off before she got out, but she did. And that look on her face, she's like, "How long do I have?" And she just books it out of there to the chopper, and then I guess Huck ends up dying just before the explosion. Which, mind you, I get that it was probably a huge explosion with the C4 and whatnot, but I think the real danger was the gas. So unfortunately, she probably became a zombie herself. Sorry, Huck, but she did the noble thing. She did what was right, because otherwise Portland would have suffered, and a whole other colony and 80,000 plus people, or maybe even more than that, would be dead. So kudos to you for that one. But yeah. So there was some fun things that happened, but there was also some kind of, like I said, it's kind of Scooby Doo happy ending type stuffs where I'm just like, and I'm sorry, guys. Until the end, Iris, I can't get on board with her character ever. And I mean, even Silas's comments and so forth like that, I'm just like, you were just such an odd character and an odd actor in general. And it's not all acting. I'm telling you, I've seen him in live performances, just talking and whatever, and it just doesn't seem right. It's weird. But Iris, she decides that she wants to go to Portland. And again, you start looking at things, and you can't help but have certain movies pop in your head. And that ending with Iris as she's saying goodbye to her dad and this and that, and you guys, and then Felix and his boyfriend, take care of each other, and then talking with her sister, and that goofy laugh and stuff. It is just. It's almost too much. But then as she was kind of going up the escalator, she started walking, I was like, okay, Frodo. It felt like a really drawn out, like, say goodbye type scene, which in the end, Ashley comes out, she goes, Elton. And I was like, oh, he didn't make it. And she's like, he's waking up. And it's just like, oh, the timing of that scene just was a little off. I would have gone a different way. That's just me. But who am I to say, I guess. But yeah, so Elton lived, and Iris, I guess she ends up going to Portland. It looks like they make it, but I couldn't help but towards the end also feel like they didn't fully tie up everything, and maybe that's purposeful. Like they want to do maybe another side-off season later on, or we just to believe that no, she made it to Portland, she talked to them, and the CR, maybe something happened to them, or did it? Because really the last time we see the Civil Republic, we get to see Jadis pulling a power move, like I was just mentioning a little bit ago, on the Lieutenant Colonel Elizabeth, which was Huck's mom. She's mourning Jennifer's death, and which is Huck, and she's just kind of talking about, all the things I've done, the monstrous things, did it really make a difference with her? So she's questioning her existence, and this is what happens when you lose your children like that. And it shows that she really loved her, but she pulls that power move, and she's like, this was all your fault. You let the perimeter colony live, they should have been gone. You let the whole family in, between Iris and Hope and the father Leo, even though they were a problem, you let them stay. I mean, then, anyways, they do this little power struggle right there, but in the end, she gets arrested, and she'll be put on trial, and I don't know if they kill her, as go as far as that, because of the services she's done, but she knows a lot of things, so I'm sure they're not going to let her go far. In fact, they probably would kill her off. So it didn't quite work out for her in the end. So yeah, I'd say overall, this episode, just kind of giving it some thought and a score. Season 2, it had its things about it that I'm just kind of like, whatever. But I will say, they picked up the momentum and the pace a lot more than Season 1. Because, I don't know, there's just watching them having to travel over that large span. Like I said, it was 1,100 miles or something like that. It was painful. It was painful at best. But Season 2 kind of picked up when the stakes were rising and people started dying off, and we started finding out how evil the CRM truly was. So, when we get to the final score, I think I'd give this season maybe like a 6.5. It could teeter up to maybe a 7, but I'd say around a 6.5 is probably my score. It was definitely entertaining. It was cool to kind of see what was going on. Jadis, Holly McIntosh, I think is the actress's name. She did a wonderful job. I mean, the acting was pretty much, where it needed to be. Less a few characters. Just a few things maybe just working out a little too well in the end. But, I mean, overall, not to criticize it too badly, it was a pretty good Season 2. But there's some other things before you run away, though. I got a chance to watch Talking Dead, and if you didn't, we just found out on Fear the Walking Dead that Madison is alive, and I think well, and she will be heading back to Fear the Walking Dead. And thank goodness, because if they don't try to pull in a better story, I'm telling you, this show is going to tank. And it's Season 7 is already just awful. It really is. The writing, it doesn't make any sense. They're contradictory statements all over the place between Victor Strand and him trying to be a villain, but yet then trying to do the right thing, and then is he doing the right thing? It's just weird, guys. I don't know. For any of you that are trying to watch that one, I will be following that up with the second part of the season when they get back here, and I think it's April. They said mid-April. But yeah, Madison's come back. Kim Dickens, that's pretty cool. I mean, I figured she was always alive. They never showed her on-screen death, and let's face it, if they're not, it's always fun and exciting to bring that character back on. She was always fan favorite, and she's one of the originals, the OGs, if you will. And so we'll have to see where that all goes. I'm sure they'll have some interesting story, but now with Alicia losing her arm and everything else, it's going to get crazy. So I don't want to get off too much of a tangent on Fear, but I did just see that on Talking Dead. And also, what about that ending scene? They called it a coda, which I'm not even sure what that stands for, but whatever. It was just a small scene, but it looks like they're over in France or something like that. And there's some scientist, and she's grabbing these data drives, right? And she's backing up this data and information. And while she's doing that, a guy walks in and pulls a gun immediately on her, and her back's kind of to him. He's questioning her about this and that. He says statements like, "You started this, and then then your team came together and you made it even worse." And meanwhile, we have Dr. Jenner from the CDC, way back to season 1. He came back for a cameo, and he's talking. I guess he had communications over here with the French or whatever. Maybe their form of their. I don't know if it would be like the United Health Organization or something over there in the European nations, but. Either way, he's talking about some different things, and he said about different cohorts of I think the zombies, so like different maybe levels of where they are, and we got to see that because at the end, after the guy's done lecturing her, he shoots her in the back, and I mean within moments, right? 10 seconds went by, she turns, but it's like she got up and immediately went to the door quickly at quick pace. We're talking World War Z style, or at best Dawn of the Dead 2004. Starts slamming on the doors, almost like she remembered what just happened to her. I don't know, guys. This is really weird. This can change a lot of things for the Walking Dead universe. So if they're trying to take it another direction, it could be refreshing in some ways. I mean, fast-paced zombies now, it goes against the grain a bit for the traditionalists. Now, I don't mind it so much. As long as they do it right. But I know a lot of you might be like, oh, they're trying to change it all and whatever. But sometimes change is necessary, especially if Rick's story and if The Walking Dead is finally finishing off. Maybe it's time for something new for us that still want to stick with the zombie show. So I would love to hear your comments on that synopsis that happened there and the quick, fast-paced moving zombie. Did it remember? Is that why she went slamming on the doors? That she's so damn strong? I'm telling you, if those are the zombies that the European nations got, America, we had it easy. Right? So anyways, I'm Mike with the Z-Man Show. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this talk on it. Make sure you put some comments down there. Let's talk about some of this stuff and think about what could be possibly coming to the shows for the future, other than Carol and Daryl's spinoff that we know has been greenlit, and I'm pretty sure they'll be filming on it very, very soon. And with that said, check out my other content on my channel, like and subscribe if you did enjoy, and I will catch you guys at the next review. See you guys.